The potato salad slipped from my hands and hit the grass with a wet thud. Nobody noticed. Every eye at Uncle Victor's barbecue was locked on my mother, Marianne, who stood by the grill with one hand clutched to her chest, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't want to say anything," she sobbed, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent backyard. But my own daughter refused to help pay for my surgery. Not a single dollar. The words hung in the humid July air like smoke. My cousin Dylan's mouth fell open. Aunt Patricia gasped and covered her lips. Uncle Victor lowered his spatula, staring at me with something between shock and disgust. "Mom, what are you talking about?" I managed to say, but my voice came out small and confused. She turned to face me, and for just a second, I saw something cold flicker behind her tears. Then she held up a piece of paper, waving it at the crowd. "The hospital sent me this bill. $30,000. I told Tessa I was scared, that I needed help, and she said no. My legs felt like water. This couldn't be happening. Not here, not in front of everyone." Dylan's girlfriend whispered something to him. Aunt Patricia shook her head slowly, disappointment written across her face. My phone started buzzing in my pocket, over and over. "That's not true," I said louder this time. "Mom, tell them the truth." But she just sobbed harder, and Uncle Victor put his arm around her shoulders, leading her toward the house. I sat in my car in the driveway, hand shaking too hard to turn the key. Through the rear-view mirror, I could see relatives clustered on the porch, looking back at me. Some were already on their phones. "My name is Tessa Marlowe. I'm 31 years old, an emergency room nurse at County General Hospital. I work 12-hour shifts, sometimes double shifts when they're short-staffed. I'm good at my job because I stay calm under pressure, because I think clearly when things get chaotic." But sitting in that driveway, I couldn't think at all. I finally started the car and drove home on autopilot, my mind replaying the scene over and over. The way everyone had looked at me. The disgust. The judgment. Like I was some monster who'd abandoned her sick mother. When I got to my apartment, I threw my purse on the couch and pulled out my phone. 17 text messages. 9 missed calls. I opened my banking app with trembling fingers and scrolled through my recent transactions. There. July 3rd. Transfer to Marianne Marlowe. $4,500. Note. Mom's medical bills. June 15th. Transfer to Marianne Marlowe. $2,000. Note. Hospital deposit. May 28th. Transfer to Marianne Marlowe. $1,500. Note. Mom's prescriptions. I'd been paying her bills for months. Every time she called saying she needed help, I'd sent money. I'd delayed applying for my graduate nursing program because I needed to keep my savings available for her. And she just called me heartless in front of my entire family. The first notification came at 8:30 that evening. Someone had tagged me in a post in the family group chat. I clicked on it, my stomach already sinking. The chat was called Marlowe Family Updates, and I'd been in it for years. Except now, when I tried to open it, a message appeared, "You are no longer a participant in this conversation." They'd removed me. My phone buzzed again. A screenshot from my cousin Bethany, who still had access. She'd sent it without comment. Just the image. It was a post from Aunt Patricia, heartbroken to learn that some family members care more about money than their own mother's health. Praying for Marianne during this difficult time. 32 likes. 17 comments, all expressing sympathy for my mother and disappointment in me. Another buzz. This time from Uncle Victor. "Your mother raised you better than this, Tessa. Very disappointed." Then Dylan. "Can't believe you'd let Grandma Marianne suffer like that." My hands started shaking again. I wanted to respond, to defend myself, but what could I say? Send them my bank statements? Screenshot my transaction history and blast it to everyone? My phone rang. I looked at the screen. My supervisor at the hospital, Karen. "Hey, Tessa," she said when I answered. Her voice was careful, the way you talk to someone you're worried about. "Everything okay? Someone sent me a link to a GoFundMe page for your mom's surgery. I just wanted to check in." My mouth went dry. "A GoFundMe?" "Yeah, your Aunt Patricia set it up. Says your mom needs emergency surgery and has no family support." I figured there must be some misunderstanding. After I hung up, I found the page. The goal was $30,000. The description painted me as a selfish daughter who'd turned her back on her dying mother. There were already donations. $50 from a neighbor. $25 from someone I'd gone to high school with. Comments wishing my mother well and calling me shameful. I closed my laptop and cried for the first time that day. Sleep didn't come that night. At 6 a.m, I gave up and made coffee, then did what I should have done immediately. I called my mother. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and cheerful. "Good morning, sweetheart." The sugary tone made my skin crawl. "Mom, what the hell was yesterday about?" "Oh, honey." Her voice shifted to something softer, more wounded. "I only told them part of the truth. You did say we should be careful with money, remember? I never said I wouldn't help you. I've been sending you money for months. Well, you made me feel bad about asking. Like I was being a burden." My grip on the phone tightened. "So you told everyone I refused to help at all? You showed them a fake hospital bill." "It's not fake. I do have medical expenses." Something in her tone made me suspicious. Without thinking, I hit the record button on my phone's voice memo app. "What surgery, Mom? What exactly are you having done?" There was a pause, longer than it should have been. "The doctors are still running tests." "Which doctors?" Another pause. "Why are you interrogating me, Tessa?" This is exactly why I had to tell the family. "You question everything. You make me prove I'm actually sick. Do you know how that feels?" "Mom, I just want to understand what's happening." "What's happening is that you embarrassed me when you asked for receipts last month. Now you're learning that actions have consequences. Maybe this will teach you some respect." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my mother's words echoing in my head. "Now you're learning. Maybe this will teach you respect." It wasn't about surgery at all. It was punishment. I saved the recording and sat very still for a long time. Monday morning, I called the hospital billing office during my break. The woman who answered had that practiced patience of someone who deals with frustrated patients all day. "I'm calling about my mother's account," I said. "Marianne Marlowe. I need to know her current balance." "Let me pull that up for you." Keys clicked in the background. "Okay, Marianne Marlowe, date of birth March 12, 1963? That's her. Her current balance is $0. Insurance covered her last visit in full." I blinked. "$0? Are you sure?" "Yes, ma'am. We show a payment plan that was completed in April, and her insurance covered her annual checkup in June. No outstanding balance." My heart started racing. "What about upcoming procedures? Any surgery scheduled?" More clicking. "No procedure scheduled. Just a follow-up appointment in September." After I hung up, I sat in the break room staring at nothing. If the hospital balance was $0, where had my money gone? I'd sent her over $8,000 in the past 3 months alone. I pulled up her text messages and scrolled back. There. May 15th. "Honey, the hospital says I need to pay $1,500 upfront for the CT scan. Can you help?" I'd sent the money that day. I called the billing office again. "I'm sorry to bother you, but can you tell me if my mother had a CT scan in May?" "Let me check." A pause. No CT scan on file. Her last imaging was a chest X-ray in March, which insurance covered. My stomach turned over. I thought about the invoice she'd waved at the barbecue, the one I hadn't gotten a good look at. I pulled up my email and searched for anything from the hospital. Nothing recent. Then I noticed something in my mother's texts. A mention of the clinic on Riverside. I'd assumed she meant the hospital's satellite clinic, but when I Googled it, nothing came up. What I did find was a transaction on her bank statement from May 20th, 5 days after I'd sent her money. A transfer to something called Riverside Payment Services. I clicked the link. It took me to a debt consolidation site for casino credit services. The evidence was right there in her transaction history, which I still had access to because she'd added me as an authorized viewer years ago when she first got sick. I'd never thought to check it before. Why would I? She was my mother. But now I scrolled through months of statements, and the pattern was impossible to miss. Every time I sent her money, there would be a transfer within days to Riverside Payment Services. sometimes to a company called Lucky Strike Credit, once to something called Winners Financial Group. I searched each name. All of them were connected to casino debt consolidation services. My mother didn't have a gambling problem. At least, I'd never known her to gamble. She'd always been careful with money, almost obsessive about it after my father left when I was 12. She'd raised me on tight budgets and coupons, always saying we couldn't afford extras. But there was a gap in my knowledge. After I'd moved out at 23, I'd only seen her once or twice a month. What did she do with her time? Where did she go? I called Aunt Lorna, my mother's younger sister. She was the only relative who might give me a straight answer. "Tessa, honey," she said when she answered. "I heard about the barbecue. Your mother is very upset. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Does Mom gamble?" Silence. Then a sigh. "Sometimes. She goes to that casino in Riverdale with her friend Donna. I thought it was just for fun." "How often?" "I don't know. Every few weeks." "Tessa, your mother has always been dramatic about her health, but this is different. Did you really refuse to help her?" "Aunt Lorna, I've sent her $8,000 in 3 months. The hospital says her balance is 0. I think she's been using the money to pay off gambling debts." The silence stretched longer this time. "Are you sure?" "I'm looking at her bank statements right now." Another sigh. Heavier. "That would explain some things. She's been asking me for loans too, but I thought it was medical bills." "Oh, Tessa. I'm so sorry." Aunt Lorna agreed to meet me for lunch on Tuesday. She chose a diner across town, away from anywhere we might run into family. When she arrived, she was carrying a manila envelope. "Before we talk," she said, sliding it across the table, "you need to see these." Inside were printouts. Screenshots from the family group chat, from before I'd been removed. I started reading, and my appetite vanished. Dylan. Just heard about Aunt Marianne. Can't believe Tessa would do this. Patricia. She always was selfish, even as a child. Remember when she wouldn't share her birthday gifts? Uncle Victor. I offered to help with money, but Marianne said it wasn't about the money. It's about her own daughter abandoning her. Bethany. Should we do something? Like an intervention? Patricia. I'm setting up a GoFundMe. If her own daughter won't help, we will. There were dozens of messages. Some I recognized, some from distant cousins I barely knew. All of them expressing sympathy for my mother and contempt for me. "They really believe her," I said quietly. Aunt Lorna reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Your mother is very convincing. She's always been good at playing the victim. When we were kids, she'd get out of trouble by crying to our parents that I'd been mean to her. It worked every time." "Did she tell them I called her worthless?" Lorna's face darkened. "Yes. Last week in the chat. She said you told her she was a burden and you wished she'd never been born." "I'd never said anything remotely like that." "Why is she doing this?" "I think she's scared you'll find out about the gambling. This way, if you try to tell anyone, they'll think you're just making excuses." Lorna paused. "There's something else. She owes money to someone named Felix. He called her house looking for her. Said something about $14,000. 14,000. Roughly the amount I'd sent her over the past 6 months, when I added up all the transfers. What do I do?" I asked. "You document everything," Lorna said. "Because when you tell them the truth, they won't believe you unless you have proof they can't ignore." Sunday afternoon, my cousin Bethany texted, "Family lunch at Aunt Patricia's at 2. Please come. We need to talk." I should have known it was a trap, but part of me hoped that maybe they wanted to hear my side. Maybe someone had started to question my mother's story. I was wrong. When I arrived, 12 relatives were already there, sitting in a semicircle in Aunt Patricia's living room. My mother wasn't among them. Uncle Victor gestured to an empty chair facing the group. "Sit down, Tessa," he said. I sat, my purse clutched in my lap. Inside was a folder with printed bank statements and transaction histories. I'd prepared for this. Aunt Patricia spoke first, her voice tight. "We wanted to give you a chance to explain yourself before we take further action." "Further action?" "We're considering cutting you out of family events," Dylan said. "Until you make this right with Aunt Marianne." My face flushed hot. I've been sending her money for months. I have the bank records right here. I pulled out the folder, but Uncle Victor held up his hand. We've seen your so-called records. Your mother showed us receipts for her medical bills. Real receipts, from the hospital. Those aren't real. The hospital confirmed her balance is 0. So you called the hospital to check up on your own mother? Patricia's voice dripped with disgust. That's a violation of her privacy, Tessa. It's also illegal. I'm listed as her medical proxy. I have the right to access her information. You have the right to help her, Dylan said. Instead, you're sitting here making up stories about gambling. It's pathetic. I opened my mouth to argue, but Bethany cut me off. We've all seen how you treat Aunt Marianne. Always questioning her, making her feel bad for asking for help. Maybe you should look at yourself. They didn't want the truth. They wanted me to apologize for something I didn't do, to confirm their version of events where I was the villain and my mother was the victim. I stood up, folder still in hand. I'm not apologizing for refusing to enable her lies. Then don't come back, Uncle Victor said. Not until you're ready to act like family. I walked out before the tears could start. Behind me I heard Patricia say, she's always been difficult. That night, I spread everything across my kitchen table. Bank statements. Transaction histories. Screenshots of text messages where my mother asked for money. The hospital's confirmation of her 0 balance. Aunt Lorna's printed chat messages. The recording of my mother's phone call. I'd been trained as a nurse to document everything, to track symptoms and treatments, to look for patterns. Now I applied that same precision to this. I created a spreadsheet. Column 1. Date. Column 2. Amount I sent. Column 3. What my mother said she needed it for. Column 4. What the money was actually used for, based on her bank records. May 15th. $1,500. CT scan. Actually, transferred to Riverside Payment Services May 17th. May 28th. $1,500. Prescriptions. Actually, transferred to Lucky Strike Credit May 30th. June 4th. $800. Hospital parking and co-pays. Actually, transferred to Winners Financial Group June 5th. The pattern was perfect. Every single time, within 2 to 3 days of receiving my money, she'd send it to a debt consolidation service. I highlighted the dates in yellow. I added notes. I cross-referenced everything with the hospital's statement about her 0 balance. Then I added a new section. Evidence of manipulation. Under it, I listed the barbecue scene, the fake hospital invoice, the family group chat messages, her recording where she admitted to teaching me a lesson. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. I hope you're happy. The family is very disappointed in you. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I added it to my evidence folder and created a new document. Timeline of lies. I was done being the victim. Now I was going to be the investigator. At 2 in the morning, my phone lit up with a message from a number I didn't recognize. This is Noah, Dylan's brother. We met at Uncle Victor's last Christmas. I need to talk to you. I squinted at the screen, confused. Noah was my cousin, but we barely knew each other. He'd moved to Portland for work and only came home for holidays. About what? I typed back. About your mom. I don't think she's telling the truth. I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. What do you mean? Can we meet? Tomorrow morning? There's a coffee shop on Maple Street called Brewster's. 9 a.m.? I agreed, then spent the rest of the night wondering what Noah knew. When I arrived at Brewster's the next morning, he was already there, sitting in a corner booth with 2 cups of coffee. Thanks for coming, he said as I slid into the seat across from him. I wasn't sure if you'd trust me after Sunday. I'm running out of people to trust. He nodded. Look, I wasn't at the barbecue. I heard about it from Dylan. But the story didn't make sense to me. You've always been responsible, always taken care of things. It didn't fit that you'd suddenly refuse to help Aunt Marianne. Thank you, I said quietly. So I started paying attention. And last week, I saw something. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. This is from Thursday afternoon. I was home visiting Dylan, and we drove past the Riverdale casino. That's Aunt Marianne in the red coat. I zoomed in on the image. It was definitely my mother, walking toward the casino entrance with another woman. She told everyone she was too sick to leave the house, Noah said. Said she was bedridden waiting for surgery. But there she is, going gambling. I felt something loosen in my chest. Finally, someone who believed me. There's more, Noah continued. I started looking at her social media. She posted this 3 days ago. He showed me another photo, a selfie of my mother at a restaurant, smiling and holding a martini. The caption read, "Treating myself because I deserve it." She deleted it after 2 hours, Noah said. But I'd already screenshot it. I looked at him. Why are you helping me? Because family should mean telling the truth, not protecting lies. He paused. What do you need from me? Over the next hour, we made a plan. Noah had access to the family group chat. He started forwarding me screenshots every evening, showing me how the narrative about me continued to grow. Patricia. Marianne looks worse every day. This stress from Tessa is killing her. Dylan. Maybe we should stage an intervention. Uncle Victor. I'm considering taking legal action. Elder abuse is a crime. Each message made me angrier, but Noah kept reminding me to stay calm. Don't confront anyone yet. Let them keep talking. The more they say, the worse they'll look when the truth comes out. Meanwhile, I continued building my case. I requested my mother's full medical records from the hospital. They showed routine checkups and minor complaints, nothing requiring surgery. I contacted the clinic she'd mentioned and found out it didn't exist. I tracked every transfer I'd made to her against her spending patterns. Then one evening I got lucky. My mother had called me while I was at work, and it went to voicemail. She didn't realize she hadn't hung up. The recording was 3 minutes long. I could hear her talking to someone, probably her friend Donna. If Tessa had just kept her mouth shut and kept sending money, none of this would be necessary. But she had to start asking questions, so now I have to make her look like the bad guy. It's her own fault really. What if she tells everyone the truth? Donna's voice asked. Who's going to believe her? I'm the sick mother. She's the ungrateful daughter who everyone already thinks is selfish. I've been planning this for weeks. My hands shook as I saved the recording. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a mistake. My mother had deliberately orchestrated this entire situation to discredit me. I sent the recording to Noah. His response came immediately. Holy shit. That's confession-level evidence. I stared at my phone. Was it enough? Would people believe a recording, or would they say I'd faked it somehow? Noah called me. You need to talk to a lawyer, he said. What she's doing might be defamation. And the stuff about elder abuse accusations could be serious. My friend Marcus had gone to law school and now worked at a small firm downtown. I called him Tuesday morning and explained everything. He listened without interrupting, which I appreciated. Bring me everything you have, he said when I finished. Every document, every recording, every text message. We need to organize this properly. I met him at his office that evening. He spent 2 hours reviewing my evidence, occasionally making notes or asking questions. When he finished, he sat back in his chair and whistled. This is solid, he said. Really solid. You've documented everything methodically. The timeline is clear, the financial records match up, and that recording is damning. So what do I do with it? That depends on what you want to accomplish. Do you want to sue for defamation? Do you want to report the financial fraud? Or do you just want to clear your name with your family? I thought about it. I want the truth out there. I want everyone who called me heartless and selfish to know what actually happened. Marcus nodded. Then we create a document that presents everything clearly and objectively. No emotion, no accusations, just facts with supporting evidence. Let the evidence speak for itself. He taught me how to format it properly, how to cite sources and organize sections. We worked on it for 3 hours, creating a 20-page document that laid out everything chronologically. Bank statements, hospital records, text messages, the recording, screenshots of my mother's social media showing her out and about when she claimed to be bedridden. At the end, Marcus added a single paragraph. This document contains factual information supported by evidence. I have compiled it to correct false statements made about my character and actions. I have no desire for drama or confrontation. Only truth. When are you going to send it? He asked. I don't know. Soon. Make sure you're ready for the fallout. This is going to change everything. The next morning, I woke up to pounding on my door. When I opened it, I found two people I'd never seen before. A man and a woman in business clothes. Tessa Marlowe? The woman asked. Yes. We're debt collectors with priority collections. We're looking for Marianne Marlowe. She listed this address on a loan application. My stomach dropped. My mother doesn't live here. The paperwork says she does. We've tried her listed address, but the landlord says she moved out last month. You're listed as her daughter and emergency contact. The man held up a document. She owes $14,300 to Riverdale Casino. If you have any information about her whereabouts or financial situation, you're legally obligated to provide it. I don't know anything about her casino debts, I said. And I'm not responsible for them. If you're living together or sharing finances, you might be, the woman said. We'll need to verify that. I felt something snap inside me. My mother had not only ruined my reputation with my family, she'd now put me at risk for her gambling debts. She'd used my address without permission, potentially making me liable for money I'd never borrowed. I need to see that application, I said. The man hesitated, then showed it to me. There was my address, my phone number, and my name listed as co-applicant. Except I'd never signed anything. The signature wasn't even close to mine. This is fraud, I said. That's not my signature. I never agreed to co-sign anything. The woman and man exchanged looks. If that's true, you'll need to file a police report and provide proof that you didn't sign this. After they left, I sat on my couch staring at nothing. The situation was spiraling beyond family drama into actual legal trouble. My mother wasn't just lying to relatives anymore. She was committing fraud using my identity. I called Marcus again. We need to file that police report today, he said. And you should send out your evidence documents soon. The longer this goes on, the worse it's going to get. I filed the fraud report at the police station Wednesday afternoon. The officer who took my statement was sympathetic but realistic. With family fraud cases, prosecution can be complicated, she said. But documenting it protects you from being held liable for the debt. Make sure you keep copies of everything. I left the station feeling drained. This had started as my mother lying at a barbecue. Now there were debt collectors, police reports, and potential identity theft charges. My phone buzzed. Noah. Your mom just posted on Facebook. You need to see this. I opened Facebook and found my mother's page. She'd shared a long post that started, "It breaks my heart to share this publicly, but I need to ask for help. My daughter has not only refused to assist with my medical bills, but she's now spreading vicious lies about me to justify her actions. She's even filed false reports claiming I'm somehow defrauding her. I never thought I'd see the day when my own child would try to destroy me." The post had 63 likes and 42 comments. People I'd gone to church with, neighbors from my childhood, my mother's co-workers, all expressing sympathy and calling me terrible. One comment from Uncle Victor. This is getting out of hand. Someone needs to stop Tessa before she does more damage. I screenshot everything and sent it to Marcus. His response. This is defamation. We could add it to a lawsuit. But I think you should go ahead and send your evidence document. The longer she controls the narrative, the harder it will be to correct. He was right. I'd been gathering evidence for weeks, building the perfect case, but while I was preparing, my mother was poisoning every relationship I had. I opened the document Marcus and I had created. 20 pages of facts, organized chronologically, with cited evidence for every claim. At the bottom was a link to a private folder containing copies of all the supporting documents, bank statements, recordings, screenshots. My finger hovered over the send button. Then I thought about something. If I sent this now, people might read it. But would they believe it? Or would they dismiss it as fake? I needed to set it up properly. I needed to make sure people would actually pay attention. Noah came through again. I found something else, he told me Thursday evening over the phone. Remember how Aunt Marianne said she was too sick to work? She's been posting on this poker forum under a screen name. I found her through some pictures she posted that match her Facebook photos. He sent me screenshots. My mother, using the name Lucky Mare, had been active on the forum for months. Posts about poker strategy, complaints about bad beats, bragging about winning streaks. In one post from 3 weeks ago, she'd written, "Hit a royal flush tonight at Riverdale. Won $8 grand. Finally paying off Felix before he breaks my kneecaps all." Another post from a month ago, "Daughter keeps sending me money for medical bills. She's so gullible. At least it keeps the collectors away." I stared at the screenshots, feeling sick. She'd been openly mocking me to strangers online while telling my family I was heartless. "There's more," Noah said. She posted a photo 2 days ago. She's at some birthday party, holding a drink, laughing. Caption says, "Celebrating 60 years of survival." "Send me everything," I said. That night, I added the poker forum posts to my evidence document. I included the photo of her at the party, taken the same day she'd posted on Facebook about being too weak to get out of bed. The document now told a complete story. My mother's gambling addiction. Her systematic lying about medical bills. Her deliberate campaign to destroy my reputation. Her fraud using my identity. Her own words admitting to the deception. I saved it as for the sake of truth.pdf and created a shareable link. Then I drafted a message to send with it. "I'm sharing this document because I believe families should be based on truth. I have no desire for drama or revenge. I'm simply providing facts with evidence. Please read everything before making any judgments. Thank you." I read it over 3 times, making sure the tone was calm and factual, not angry or defensive. Then I scheduled it to send the next morning at 9 a.m. to the family group email list that Aunt Lorna had given me. I set my phone on the nightstand and tried to sleep, knowing that tomorrow everything would change. Friday morning, I woke up before my alarm. At 8:55, I stared at my phone, watching the minutes tick by. At 9 a.m. exactly, I hit send. The document went to 47 email addresses. Every family member I could find. Aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins. Even my mother. For 5 minutes, nothing happened. I sat at my kitchen table with cold coffee, wondering if anyone would even open it. Then my phone started buzzing. The first response came from Bethany. "Oh my God." Then Dylan. "This can't be real." Noah. "Check the family chat. It's exploding." I asked him to forward me screenshots. The chat had gone from quiet to chaos in seconds. Patricia. "Did everyone just get that email from Tessa?" Uncle Victor. "I'm reading it now. This is... I don't know what to think." Dylan. "Are these bank statements real?" Cousin Marcus. "The recordings are pretty damning." Bethany. "Wait, so Aunt Marianne has been gambling? The whole surgery thing was fake?" Patricia. "Let's not jump to conclusions." Uncle Victor. "The hospital record is right here. 0 balance. She's been lying about that at least." Cousin Whitney. "I'm on page 12. The poker forum posts are brutal. She literally wrote that Tessa was gullible." Dylan. "I feel sick." My phone rang. Aunt Lorna. "Tessa, honey, I just finished reading. I had no idea it was this bad. The identity fraud, the debt collectors, her posting about you online." "I tried to tell everyone at Sunday's lunch," I said quietly. "I know. We should have listened. I'm so sorry." Another call came through. Then another. I let them go to voicemail, not ready to talk yet. The family chat continued exploding with messages. Some people defending my mother, saying the evidence could be faked. But more and more were expressing shock and anger that they'd been manipulated. At 10 a.m., my mother called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Tessa, what have you done? You've ruined everything. Call me right now." I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. By noon, the family chat had turned completely. Uncle Victor posted, "I owe Tessa an enormous apology. I participated in condemning her without hearing her side. That was wrong. Patricia. This is very difficult to process. I'm going to take some time to think about everything." Dylan. "I'm so sorry, Tessa. We were terrible to you. Bethany, the GoFundMe page is being taken down. I'm refunding all donations. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. I finally turned it off and sat in silence for an hour, trying to process that it was over. The truth was out. People believed me. But I felt empty, not victorious. These were still my family members who'd turned on me so easily, who'd believed the worst without question. Around 2 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw Aunt Lorna with two other people, Aunt Patricia and Uncle Victor. I opened the door slowly. "Hi. Can we come in?" Lorna asked gently. I let them in. We sat in my living room, awkward silence filling the space. Finally, Patricia spoke. "Tessa, I don't know how to apologize for what we did to you. We were cruel and judgmental. We took Marianne's word without question. You made me feel like I was crazy," I said quietly. "Like I was the villain for asking questions." "You were right to ask questions," Uncle Victor said. "We should have asked them too. We should have asked for proof before attacking you." "Where's my mother?" I asked. They exchanged looks. "No one knows," Lorna said. "She's not answering calls. Her Facebook page is gone. Someone drove by her apartment, and her car isn't there." "She's probably hiding," Patricia added. "Waiting for this to blow over." "It won't blow over," I said. "Not this time." Uncle Victor nodded slowly. "We're planning a family meeting. Tomorrow afternoon. We need to address this properly, as a family. Will you come?" I thought about it. Part of me wanted nothing to do with them anymore. They'd shown me how quickly they'd turn when someone they trusted told them to. But another part of me needed to see this through to the end. "I'll think about it," I said. After they left, I turned my phone back on. 217 notifications. Messages, emails, missed calls. I scrolled through them slowly. Most were apologies. Some were from people I barely knew, saying they donated to the GoFundMe and felt terrible. A few were from my mother's friends, angry that I'd publicly humiliated her. One message stood out. From my supervisor Karen. "Tessa, I read your document. I'm so sorry for what you've been through. Take all the time you need. Your job will be here when you're ready." I set the phone down and cried for the first time since sending the document. Not from sadness, but from exhaustion. From the weight of carrying this alone for so long, finally lifting. Saturday morning, I woke up to a text from Noah. "Your mom showed up at Dylan's house at 3 a.m. She's losing it." I called him immediately. "What happened?" "She was banging on the door, crying, saying you've destroyed her life. Dylan let her in, and she started ranting about how you've turned everyone against her. She said the evidence was fake, that you manipulated everything to make her look bad." "Did Dylan believe her?" "No. He showed her the bank statements, asked her to explain them. She couldn't. Just kept saying you'd somehow faked it all. Then she started blaming him for not defending her to the family." "Where is she now?" "She left around 5 a.m. Dylan said she was talking about leaving town, starting over somewhere else where people don't know about this." The family meeting was at 2 p.m. at Uncle Victor's house. I spent the morning trying to decide if I should go. Part of me wanted to see my mother face everyone, to watch her try to defend the indefensible. But another part of me wondered if I'd already won. The truth was out. People believed me. Did I need to watch her suffer? At 1:30, I got dressed and drove to Uncle Victor's house. When I arrived, cars lined the street. Nearly everyone had come. Inside, relatives filled the living room and dining room. Conversations stopped when I walked in. Then Bethany stood up and hugged me. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. Others came over. Apologies, embarrassed faces, awkward attempts to explain why they'd believed my mother so easily. Uncle Victor called for attention. "Is everyone here? Good. We need to discuss what happened and how we move forward as a family." "Where's Aunt Marianne?" someone asked. "She's not coming," Patricia said quietly. "She told me this morning that she won't subject herself to a witch hunt." Uncle Victor's jaw tightened. "This isn't a witch hunt. It's accountability." "Tessa, would you like to say anything?" Everyone turned to look at me. I stood up slowly, my hands shaking slightly. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I never did. I just wanted people to know the truth. I sent that document because I was tired of being called heartless and ungrateful when I'd been helping my mother for months. We were wrong not to question her story, Aunt Lorna said. We failed you. Some of you were cruel, I continued. Not just wrong but cruel. You said terrible things about me without ever asking for my side. That hurt more than anything my mother did. The room was silent. Several people looked down, unable to meet my eyes. I don't know if I can trust you again, I said honestly. But I appreciate the apologies. Dylan stood up. What are we going to do about Aunt Marianne? She needs help. The gambling, the lying, it's not healthy. She needs to admit she has a problem first, Patricia said. And right now, she's still insisting everyone else is wrong. The conversation continued for another hour. Some people wanted to stage an intervention. Others thought we should wait for my mother to reach out. A few suggested cutting her off completely until she got professional help. But everyone agreed on one thing. They owed me an apology, and they'd failed me as a family. When the meeting ended, Noah pulled me aside. How are you really doing? Honestly? I don't know. Relieved, I guess. But also sad. That's normal. You can be right and still grieve what you lost. He was right. I'd lost my mother, in a way. Not to death, but to her own choices. And I'd lost my naive belief that family meant unconditional support. But I'd gained something too. Self-respect. The knowledge that I could stand up for myself even when everyone else was against me. Sunday evening, my mother finally called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Tessa. Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying. You've destroyed me. You've turned my entire family against me. Are you happy now? No, Mom. I'm not happy. I never wanted this. Then why did you do it? Why did you send that horrible document to everyone? You could have talked to me privately. I tried talking to you. You told me I was learning a lesson about respect. You publicly humiliated me at a barbecue and then let everyone call me heartless while you knew the truth. Silence. Then, I was scared. The debts were piling up, and I didn't know what else to do. So you blamed me? Made me the villain? I thought if I could get some money from the family, I could pay off Felix and start fresh. I didn't think you'd actually send proof to everyone. You didn't think I'd defend myself? My voice rose. You destroyed my reputation, Mom. You had Uncle Victor talking about elder abuse charges. You put my address on loan applications. What did you think I'd do? I thought you'd just apologize and move on. You always were so eager to keep the peace. The words stung because they were true. 4 years, I'd been the peacemaker, the one who smoothed over conflicts and avoided confrontation. I'm done keeping peace at the cost of my own dignity, I said quietly. So what now? You're going to let them hate me forever. I'm not making them do anything. They're making their own choices based on the truth. Truth. She laughed bitterly. You've always thought you were so righteous, Tessa. So much better than everyone else. I just wanted you to stop lying about me. Well, congratulations. You won. I hope it was worth losing your mother over. I didn't lose you, Mom. You lost yourself. She hung up without saying goodbye. I sat holding the phone, feeling hollowed out. There had been no apology, no remorse. Just anger that I'd exposed her lies and self-pity that she'd faced consequences. Noah texted. How'd it go with your mom? About what I expected. She's not sorry. Just angry she got caught. You did the right thing. I know. It just doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to. But you stood up for yourself. That takes courage. 3 weeks later, Aunt Lorna called with news. Your mother checked herself into a treatment program. For gambling addiction. I sat down slowly. When? Yesterday. She's at a facility in Springfield. 30-day residential program. Did she say anything about me? No. Patricia drove her there. She said Marianne barely spoke the whole drive. Just stared out the window. I didn't know how to feel. Relief that she was getting help? Anger that it took complete humiliation to get there? Sadness that our relationship might be broken beyond repair? That's good, I finally said. I hope it helps her. Do you want to visit her? They allow family visits after the first week. I don't know. Maybe. I need to think about it. That night, I pulled out the document Marcus and I had created. I read through it again, looking at the evidence with fresh eyes. Every bank statement, every recording, every screenshot. The truth was all there. Undeniable. Documented. But looking at it now, I felt something shift. This document had been my weapon, my shield, my proof that I wasn't crazy or cruel. But it was also a record of my mother's downfall, a chronicle of how addiction had turned her into someone I didn't recognize. I closed the file and opened my email. 43 messages from family members over the past 3 weeks. More apologies, awkward attempts to rebuild relationships, invitations to dinners and gatherings. I'd responded to a few. Accepted some invitations. Declined others. I was learning that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting, and rebuilding trust took time. One email stood out. From the hospital where I worked. Congratulations! Your application for the graduate nursing program has been accepted. Classes begin in September. I'd reapplied 2 weeks ago, after withdrawing my application months earlier to keep money available for my mother's medical bills. Now, with the truth out and my finances back under my control, I could pursue the degree I'd been putting off. I clicked reply and typed, "Thank you. I accept." A month after sending the document, things started feeling normal again. Not the same as before, but a different kind of normal. I had lunch with Bethany and Dylan, who'd become genuinely apologetic friends rather than just cousins I saw at holidays. Noah and I talked regularly, bonding over our shared experience of watching family dynamics explode. Uncle Victor and Aunt Patricia were more distant, still uncomfortable with how badly they'd misjudged the situation. But they'd stopped making excuses and owned their mistakes, which was more than some people had done. The GoFundMe page for my mother's surgery had been completely refunded and deleted. Several people who donated sent me personal apologies, including my high school friend who'd given $25 and left a comment calling me shameful. At work I felt lighter. Karen had been incredibly supportive, giving me time off when I needed it and checking in regularly. Some coworkers had seen the GoFundMe page and believed it, but after Karen explained that it was based on false information, they'd apologized too. I'd started therapy. My counselor, Helen, specialized in family trauma. She helped me process the betrayal, the public humiliation, the complicated grief of losing a relationship with my mother while she was still alive. You can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them, Helen told me during one session. Those two things aren't contradictory. My mother completed her 30-day program. Aunt Lorna told me she was staying in Springfield, working at a grocery store, attending daily recovery meetings. She hadn't tried to contact me. She asked about you, Lorna said. Wanted to know if you were doing okay. What did you tell her? That you're thriving. Starting grad school, rebuilding relationships, moving forward. Did she say anything else? She said she understands if you never want to talk to her again. That she doesn't blame you. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd gotten from her. Not quite enough, but something. If she ever really apologizes, I told Lorna, let me know. Not the, I'm sorry you're upset kind. A real apology where she takes responsibility. I will. 2 months after everything exploded, I received a letter. A real, physical letter in the mail, with my mother's handwriting on the envelope. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Dear Tessa, I'm writing this from my small apartment in Springfield. It's not much, but it's mine, and I'm learning to be okay with that. My counselor says I need to take responsibility for my actions without making excuses. So here it is. I betrayed you. I lied about you to our family. I used your love and generosity to fund my addiction. I tried to destroy your reputation to cover up my own shame. You deserved a mother who protected you, not one who threw you to the wolves to save herself. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to want a relationship with me. I just want you to know that what happened was my fault, not yours. You were right to defend yourself. You were right to tell the truth. I'm working on getting better. One day at a time, like they say in meetings. I've been clean from gambling for 63 days. It's hard, but I'm trying. I hope you're doing well. Lorna tells me you got into grad school. I'm proud of you, even though I have no right to be. I love you. I'm sorry I forgot how to show it. Mom. I read the letter 3 times, tears streaming down my face. It wasn't perfect. It didn't erase the damage. But it was real. I folded it carefully and put it in the drawer next to my evidence folder. 2 documents, 2 versions of the same story. One full of proof and facts and timelines. One full of accountability and hope. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to process, to decide what kind of relationship, if any, I wanted with my mother going forward. But for the first time in months, I felt like maybe healing was possible. 6 months after the barbecue that changed everything, I attended a family Thanksgiving at Uncle Victor's house. It was smaller than usual. Some relatives had stayed away, uncomfortable with the lingering awkwardness. My mother wasn't there, still living in Springfield and maintaining her recovery. But the people who came were genuine. No more whispers behind hands, no more judgment in their eyes. Just family imperfect and trying. Dylan pulled me aside before dinner. I've been wanting to talk to you about something. I'm writing a book about family dynamics and betrayal. I want to include a chapter about what happened with Aunt Marianne. With your permission. What would you say? That families enable dysfunction when they choose comfort over truth. That we failed you by believing the most dramatic story instead of asking questions. That your courage to stand up for yourself taught all of us something important. I thought about it. Change the names. And let me read the chapter before you publish it. Deal. During dinner, Uncle Victor stood up to make a toast. This year, I'm thankful for honesty. For family members who have the courage to tell difficult truths, even when it costs them. Tessa, we're grateful you're here. Everyone raised their glasses. Some people looked emotional. Others smiled warmly at me. I raised my glass too, feeling a mix of emotions. Pride in standing up for myself. Sadness for what had been lost. Hope for what might be rebuilt. After dinner, I checked my phone. A text from my mother. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're surrounded by people who love you. You deserve that. I typed back. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. It was a small exchange, careful and boundaried. But it was something. Noah found me on the porch later, looking at the stars. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking about how different everything is from last year. Is different good? Different is honest, I said. And honest is better. I started graduate school in January. The program was intense, challenging, everything I'd hoped it would be. I studied trauma-informed care, psychiatric nursing, family systems theory. Everything I learned seemed to relate back to my own experience. For my first major paper, I wrote about financial abuse in families and how it's often hidden behind narratives of caretaking and obligation. My professor gave me an A and asked if she could share it with her colleagues. This is important work, she said. Have you considered presenting at conferences? I hadn't, but I started thinking about it. My story wasn't just personal anymore. It was educational, a case study in how families could become complicit in abuse by choosing loyalty over truth. In February, my mother called for the first time since the letter. We talked for 20 minutes, awkward but civil. She told me about her job, her recovery meetings, her new apartment. I told her about school and work. I saw that document you sent to everyone, she said near the end of the call. Lorna showed me a copy. My stomach tightened. And it was hard to see everything laid out like that. But it was all true. Every word. I'm not angry at you for sending it. I'm ashamed that you had to. I didn't want to hurt you, Mom. I just wanted the lies to stop. I know. And they did. You did what I couldn't do myself. You forced me to face the truth. It was the most honest conversation we'd had in years. Maybe ever. We didn't talk about rebuilding our relationship. We didn't make plans to see each other. But the door wasn't completely closed anymore. It was cracked open, letting in a little light. In March, I received an email from someone I didn't know. The subject line said, "Thank you for your story." The message explained that she'd heard about what happened through a mutual friend. She was going through something similar with her father, who'd been lying about medical expenses to fund a shopping addiction. Your evidence document gave me the template I needed to organize my own proof, she wrote. I just sent it to my family yesterday. I don't know what will happen, but I know I did the right thing because of your example. Thank you for being brave. I showed the email to Helen during therapy. How does it feel to know your experience is helping other people? It feels like something good came from something horrible, I said. Like maybe it wasn't all for nothing. 1 year after the barbecue, I drove to Springfield to meet my mother for coffee. It was our third in-person meeting since she'd gone to treatment, and it was getting easier each time. She looked different. Older, maybe, but also calmer. Less frantic. She'd gained a little weight, which her counselor said was a good sign that she wasn't using stress and chaos to avoid eating. I've been thinking, she said as we sat down with our drinks, about making amends. Real ones, not just apologizing. What do you mean? I want to pay you back. The money I took, the $8,000. I'm working 2 jobs now, saving everything I can. It'll take time, but I want to do it. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Not for you, for me. I need to make this right. I nodded slowly. Okay. We talked for an hour. She told me about her recovery, about the people she'd met in treatment who became friends, about learning to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of running to the casino to escape them. I told her about grad school, about the paper I'd written and the possibility of presenting at a conference, about slowly rebuilding trust with family members who'd hurt me. I don't expect us to go back to how things were, she said as we were leaving. I know I burned that bridge. But maybe we can build something new. Something honest. Maybe, I agreed. Driving home, I thought about everything that had happened. The barbecue where my world exploded. The weeks of gathering evidence. The moment I clicked send on that document. The fallout, the apologies, the slow process of rebuilding. I thought about the drawer at home where I kept 2 things side by side. The evidence folder and my mother's letter. Proof and apology. Truth and accountability. I'd learned something important through all of it. Protecting yourself isn't cruel. Speaking truth isn't betrayal. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their lies. My mother had called me ungrateful, and I'd proven I was generous. She'd called me heartless, and I'd shown I had boundaries. She'd tried to destroy my reputation, and I'd defended it with facts. I hadn't ruined her. I just stopped protecting her from the consequences of her own actions. And in doing that, I'd given her the chance to finally get real help. I'd given myself the chance to reclaim my dignity. I'd given my family the chance to learn what real loyalty looked like. The document I'd sent that Friday morning had been titled, For the Sake of Truth. Looking back now, I understood what truth had cost and what it had given me in return. It cost me a relationship with my mother as I'd known her. It cost me my naive belief that family always meant safety. But it gave me self-respect. It gave me the knowledge that I could stand alone if I had to. It gave me a voice. When I got home, I opened my laptop and started writing. Not for a class this time, but for myself. For anyone else who might need permission to tell their truth, to defend themselves, to stop protecting people who hurt them. I titled it, Sometimes Protecting Your Peace Means Proving the Truth Once, Then Walking Away. And I started typing.